The last few years in pro wrestling have been unpredictable, to say the least, with some high-profile jumps between WWE and AEW, the end of Vince McMahon, and with WWE seemingly on the brink of reaching never-before-seen heights. But what will wrestling look like in 1 year from now? In today's video, we'll be using the brand new wrestling management game, TEW IX, to simulate until the end of 2025 to see what the future looks like for WWE, AEW, and beyond. But before we get into it, make sure you drop a like on this video, and if you want to see a part 2, get it to 100 likes in the first 24 hours, and I'll bring it out pretty much straight away. So if you want to see that, make sure you drop a like and let's get 100 likes. So you join us then in September 2024, 1 month from when this video is recorded, and I've done this so we can have the changes from SummerSlam in place, such as Gunther being the World Heavyweight Champion or LA Knight being the United States Champion, just to keep things as realistic as possible at the start. You can also see here that everything in AEW is up to date as of this recording. Not only are we going to keep an eye on the top promotions around the world, I've also highlighted some talent in my shortlist to keep an eye on, including some top free agents or some people with expiring contracts. So we've got AJ Lee, Becky Lynch, both of who are free agents, and we've got Bryan Danielson, whose contract is expected to expire at some point in the very near future. We've also got the likes of Jake Hager, Dustin Rhodes, again another contract situation, and we've also got Jake Paul, who has been brought in from the user character section, as he's someone I do expect to make a proper debut in pro wrestling at some point very soon. And we've also got Ricochet, Ronda Rousey, Shane McMahon, as well as Wardlow, who I think is going to be worth keeping an eye on, as he's certainly a quintessential WWE talent. So let's see how his future plays out as well. But with that said, let's jump to the end of April 2024 and see what the wrestling world looks like after WrestleMania 41. Actually, before we get to April, let's have a quick pit stop at January 2025 just to see who won the annual awards for 2024. So Jon Moxley was the male wrestler of the year, Rhea Ripley was the female wrestler of the year, company of the year was WWE, male tag team of the year was the Lucha Brothers, who are still in AEW at this point, even though in real life there's rumors that they're going to be jumping to WWE. Female tag team of the year was WWE's The Unholy Union. Match of the year was Rhea Ripley and Io Sky versus Liv Morgan and Zelina Vega, a bit of an odd one there. The best show of the year was Bad Blood 2024, which is a returning pay-per-view. NXT's Jay Malachi was the young wrestler of the year for the males division, and Azumi was the female young wrestler of the year. Male veteran wrestler of the year was Randy Orton. Shayna Baszler won the female veteran of the year. Katsuhiko Nakajima was the male independent wrestler of the year. Female independent wrestler of the year was Tam Nakano. Paul Heyman got manager of the year, and so did Maxine Dupree. And then we get down to the backstage staff of the year, and if you want to pause and take a look at who won those, you can do. But as I say, let's get to April. So the first thing we're going to do then is to check any departures from WWE as well as any signings to see how their roster is shaping up. And some notable names that have been released then are Brutus Creed, and I don't see his brother there, so his brother's been left on his own. Titus O'Neil is now gone. Tyler Bate has left WWE. It looks like actually these were contracts expiring rather than releases. Paul Ellering's also left. Joe Coffey of NXT. JD McDonough of the Judgment Day. Ivy Nile. Carl Anderson. Santos Escobar, who could be a huge free agent now, especially across America and Mexico. Eric of the Viking Raiders has also left. Roxanne Perez, Carmelo, and Tamina are all out of the WWE door. So let's see if they've actually signed anybody to replace them then. So they've brought in Raven for NXT, I assume as a road agent. Yeah, he's also likely a manager as well, so that's actually a really good signing for them. Looks like MVP was also signed with WWE to NXT originally, and then he's been called up not long after. Karate Man, that's Ethan Page, has been called up to the main roster, and there's some other movement from NXT as well. But in terms of signings themselves, it doesn't look like there's been too much outside of MVP, Raven, and Lee Summers, who's been picked up on a developmental deal, and this looks like a regen actually. And how how about we do the same for AEW then, and let's check out the news there. So we'll start with signings, and we've got a few loans out, such as Mercedes Moné going to Stardom. Ray Hekikaro, something like that, has also been picked up. And I can't really see any major signings here from what I can see. A lot of it is loans from New Japan, so they did pick up Gabriel Kidd on a loan from Japan, somebody who has been a big standout for the last year. But outside of that, there's not been too much movement going on. There's still no Ricochet to be seen, which is interesting, so we're going to keep an eye on what he does over in a minute. And let's just see who's left AEW. A lot of these seem to be loans, but we've seen the Butcher leave, we've seen Dutch leave, we've seen Max Caster leave. But yeah, people like Tetsuya Naito is at the end of a loan, which is through the Forbidden Door. Chris Hero has left, Michael Nakazawa has left, Mina Shirakawa has also left, and yeah, a lot of the other ones seem to be loans. So let's see who the champions of AEW are then, as Jon Moxley has won the second ever Continental Classic. Jon Moxley is now the International Champion after defeating MJF. Ty Mello is the TBS champion after defeating Thunder Rosa, who beat Mercedes Moné. Will Ospreay is the TNT champion now. I believe that will be his second title in AEW, unless he's picked up something else. Yeah, so he's got the International and now the AEW TNT. Willow Nightingale is now the Women's World Champion. Toni Storm dropped it to Saraya, who then dropped it to Willow. MJF is once again the AEW World Champion after defeating Swerve Strickland. The Tag Team Champions, it seems like the Lucha Brothers have turned things around in AEW. Rather than leaving, they've been given the World Tag Team titles, so maybe that was somewhat of a negotiating tactic there from Tony Khan to have them defeat the Young Bucks. The AEW World Trios Champions are the Patriarchy, meaning they have still yet to drop their title, and the FTW Champion is now Pac, who defeated Roderick Strong, who defeated Chris Jericho. Jon Moxley not only won the Continental Classic, but he also won the Full Gear World Title Eliminator Tournament, and the Owen Hart Cup has yet to be competed for a fourth time, and that will be later this year. So for WWE Champions then, let's take a look at everything across there. So Money in the Bank hasn't been on the line yet. The Royal Rumble winner was Cody Rhodes for a third time in a row, which matches Stone Cold Steve Austin's record. The undisputed WWE Champion is now Roman Reigns once again, bringing Cody Rhodes' story to an end and putting it back on the Tribal Chief. The Women's Royal Rumble winner was Rhea Ripley. The WWE Intercontinental Champion is now Rey Mysterio, who dethroned Bron Breakker. Andrade is still the WWE Speed Champion. The Bloodline are still WWE Tag Team Champions. AJ Styles is now the United States Champion, being the one to dethrone LA Knight. Actually, that's a feud coming back full circle there. The WWE Women's Champion is Julia, who hasn't yet debuted in WWE in any capacity, but now she's on the main roster and has defeated Nia Jax, which is huge, and she did that in January. The Women's Tag Team Champions are Katana Chance and Kaden Carter. Io Sky is the Women's World Champion, so now she's held both current Women's Championships in the company, and she defeated Liv Morgan. So it looks like Rhea Ripley wasn't the one to take that away from Liv. CM Punk was the one to defeat Gunther and is the reigning WWE World Heavyweight Champion, and it looks like that might have happened at WrestleMania, with the date being 5th April. And the World Tag Team Champions are Ethan Page, going by the gimmick of Karate Man, as well as Bronson Reed. So a main roster call-up there for current but now former in the game NXT champion Ethan Page. So let's get to the end of the year then and see how things have played out further, and we're going to take a look at a few more things such as deaths. We'll see what else we come across. So here we are then at the end of 2025, technically January 2026 now, and let's once again check the annual awards to see who picked what up. So unsurprisingly, Gunther is the male wrestler of the year after being a standout over the past couple of years. Rhea Ripley is once again the female wrestler of the year. Company of the year once again WWE. Bryan Danielson and Jon Moxley are the tag team of the year, so it looks like they're still going as the Blackpool Combat Club. The female tag team of the year is Asuka and Kairi Sane, the Kabuki Warriors. Match of the year was Gunther versus Drew McIntyre at Night of Champions 2025. Show of the year was WWE Bash in Berlin 2025, so they went back to Germany this year. Brillante Jr. was Male Wrestler of the Year, so let's see who that is. So it's someone from CMLL, and a 24-year-old worker there with a big future, it seems. Young Female Wrestler of the Year was once again Azumi. Male Veteran Wrestler of the Year was Damian Priest. Charlotte got the female side of that. Most Improved Company was Stardom. Male Independent Wrestler of the Year was El Hijo del Vikingo. Tam Nakano once again Female Independent Wrestler of the Year. Gedo was Manager of the Year, as was Tia Trinidad, aka Zelina Vega. And for these staff roles, once again, if you want to pause, feel free to do so. And we're going to take a look at worker deaths. So Panico died. I think he's the booker of CMLL, or was. Super Shisha died at the age of 55, this being a male Japanese wrestler known for wrestling in Dragon Gate. Nobuyuko Takada, a retired wrestler from Japan, has also died, and he helped popularize the shoot style of professional wrestling over there. Fit Finlay has also passed away, who I think we all know. And Copetez Salazar, if that's pronounced correctly, with all due respect to him, has also passed away, a former luchador turned referee. So one thing we're also going to do is take a look at our shortlist that we made earlier and see if there's been any movement on this side. So AJ Lee has not yet returned to wrestling. Becky Lynch also hasn't, it seems. Bill Goldberg is retired now and is a play-by-play commentator without a job. Bryan Danielson is still going, so it looks like he's got that Terry Funk syndrome and will never stop fighting. Dustin Rhodes is not retired and is still with AEW, so no jump to join his brother Cody in WWE. Jake Hager's still employed. Jake Paul has yet to break into wrestling. Joe Hendry is still with TNA on a handshake deal, but with NXT on a written, and is actually the NXT champion, so maybe that's something we can look at in a minute, is the rest of the NXT champions. Mandy Rose is still unemployed. AEW still have MJF. MVP is back with WWE, as we saw earlier. Ricochet is having a little stint on the independent scene before signing any big contracts, so he's in Defy and AAW. Ronda Rousey still unemployed. Ryback still unemployed, and surprisingly, Shane McMahon did not end up joining AEW in this simulation, and Wardlow is still with AEW. So we're going to do what we did before then and take a look at any WWE and AEW releases and signings, starting with WWE this time. So Corey Graves has left. Mark Coffey has also left, and I think his brother Joe left earlier in the save. He did. So now they're both reunited on the independent scene. Alexa Bliss is also now a free agent. I wonder if she's signed anywhere yet. No, she hasn't. So she didn't end up joining the Wyatt Six and is off on her merry way. Maybe off to be a full-time mother, I guess, because she did recently have a baby. Any other notable exits? Jey Uso has left WWE and is now on the independent scene at Defy Wrestling. So we're probably going to be seeing Ricochet versus Jey Uso at some point. And Austin Theory has left WWE, so Triple H has lost faith in him at this point. Carlito is back on the independents. I wouldn't say that's too much of a surprise since he's not really had too much to do other than be the lackey of the Judgment Day. John Cena has left WWE, so the John Cena retirement tour is over and he is now a free agent, likely on his way to Hollywood once again. Sheamus has left WWE. We do know that his contract is soon to expire, apparently this year, but he left in August 2025, so maybe he had a short extension at some point, or maybe the mod was just incorrect on that front. Shayna Baszler has left WWE. I think we saw that last time. There was Shayna Baszler news, actually. She won an award, but now she's left. That's what it was. I knew I'd seen her name before. Akira Tozawa's left. Piper Niven, Noam Dar, Jimmy Uso. So the Usos are now free agents together. He also went to Defy and MLW. So the Bloodline saga is over on the game. Luke Gallows left, joining Carl Anderson, who was released earlier on. Wade Barrett has left. Xavier Woods, Kofi Kingston, and Brutus Brutus Creed is on the free agents list, and I think that's where we got to last time. Yeah, it was Titus O'Neil and Brutus Creed, so everything Ludwig Kaiser and above. So how about signings then? Have they picked anyone up off the free agents list, maybe released by AEW? Let's have a look. So we saw MVP was rehired, and I think Raven was the last one. So Lexis King has been recalled from NXT up to the main roster, so is Obafemi, JC Jane, Ava Rain, Javon Evans, and Calvin Tankman has been picked up by WWE and sent down to NXT, so that is a solid sign in there with the former MLW star joining the developmental roster. And yeah, I'd say that's a good pickup for them. And Nikita Lyons has been recalled, and so has Kincaid. I don't know who that is, but yeah, there's been some other names as well that might be notable for people watching. And let's do the same for AEW then and see how the landscape is looking in terms of signings first. And it's hard to actually tell because there's a lot of loans in here. So it looks like, yeah, they have been taking advantage of the forbidden door through CMLL and NJPW. They have re-signed Dutch on a one-night loan back from Ring of Honor, I assume. So he's still with the Ring of Honor, even though we did leave on an official AEW contract, so it looks like he's working independently there. But other than that, there's nothing too notable for the AEW signings. But how about the other way round and out of the door? We got to last time, I think, Max Caster. So the Blade has left, joining the Butcher. Trent Beretta has also left. Colt Cabana, how you doing, has also left. Not surprised there, he hasn't been used in some time and hasn't done anything pretty much since he joined AEW, apart from cause trouble. Hikaru Shida has left AEW. Jack Cartwheel walks out on AEW. Christopher Daniels has left. Mariah May has been released by AEW and is currently unemployed. I expect her to end up in WWE at some point then. Saraya has also been released. A former AEW Women's World Champion, a two-time in this save. Britt Baker has been released by AEW. Christian Cage has been released. Strange decision there from Tony Khan. Chris Statlander is also out of the door. Rob Van Dam, Katsuyori Shibata, QT Marshall, RD Evans, Christopher Daniels, Tetsuya Naito, Emi Sakura, Kota Ibushi is on his way out of the door, and Alex Reynolds. So that's surprising there for Kota. Has he gone back to Japan at any point? He's still unemployed. Maybe it's his injury is too much to come back from? No, it says he's not injured. I don't know. That's a strange one. So how about the champions of AEW then? So the Continental Classic was won by Kazuchika Okada this time around. So a very prestigious tournament there, won by Eddie Kingston, Jon Moxley, and Kazuchika Okada. AEW International Champion is Darby Allin. So MJF dropped it to Moxley. Moxley dropped it to Swerve. Swerve dropped it to Moxley again. And then Darby defeated Mox. So yeah, a nice lineage there, I think, for that title. The AEW TBS Champion is now Harley Cameron, who defeated Ty Mello. AEW TNT Champion is now Adam Page, who defeated Kenny Omega. So a revival of that feud. Kenny defeated Joe. Joe defeated Page. Page defeated Ospreay. Ospreay defeated Perry. Where were we? It was Ospreay last time we saw it, wasn't it? And then, yeah, he dropped it to Page. He dropped it to Samoa Joe. And yeah, again, quite a good lineage there. Stacked roster on their side, to be fair to them. Willow Nightingale, I think, was the Women's World Champion last time, so she dropped it to Mercedes, with Toni Storm winning it back and Ty Mello defeating her. The AEW World Champion is Hook. So another person, actually, who probably should have been on our shortlist with an expiring contract, but it looks like he's been persuaded to stay and has been given the grandest prize in the company after defeating MJF. If you remember the angle back in 2020 where MJF was running a presidential style campaign, Hook was actually part of his team as the gum guy, and now it's all gone back round and has defeated him for the AEW World Championship. The Lucha Brothers are once again the tag team champions, so they did lose it at one point to Matt Taven and Mike Bennett of the Undisputed Kingdom, but now they're back with the gold. Jay White, Jack Perry, and Hook are the trios champions. So it looks like there's maybe a new formation of Bullet Club Gold there, and they are now champions, with Hook being a double champion, so that's huge for him. I'd love to see it. FTW champion is Pac once again after dropping it to Konosuke Takeshita. The Full Gear World Title Eliminator Tournament was won by Kazuchika Okada. The Men's Owen Hart Cup was not held in 2025 actually, and neither was the women's. And WWE have dropped Cody Rhodes as their figurehead and have replaced him with Rhea Ripley. So that is huge there for Rhea Ripley in the year 2026 and is now the face of WWE. And speaking of WWE, let's have a quick look at their champions because I think we forgot to do that. So Money in the Bank was won by Cody Rhodes. Royal Rumble was Cody Rhodes. We've already seen that though. There hasn't been another one. That's in like a month's time, well, within the next month. Roman Reigns is still the undisputed WWE champion. Women's Money in the Bank was not put on the line this year, strangely enough. The Intercontinental champion is Carmelo Hayes, who defeated Finn Balor, who defeated Rey Mysterio, who we saw last time. Finn Balor siding with Dominic Mysterio against his father, I suppose. WWE Speed champion was Mercy the Buzzard, who defeated Andrade, and now Wesley is the champion. Street Profits were the ones to dethrone the Bloodline 2.0 for the WWE Tag Team titles. United States champion is Ilya Dragunov, who defeated AJ Styles. Bayley was the one to take down Julia for the WWE Women's title, winning it back, the belt that she lost at SummerSlam to Nia Jax. Isla Dawn and Alba Fire are once again the WWE Women's Tag Team champions. The WWE Women's World Champion is now Bianca Belair, having defeated Io Sky. The WWE World Heavyweight Champion is still the best in the world, CM Punk, who has since made 10 defenses of his belt. And Johnny Gargano and Tommaso Ciampa are now the WWE World Tag Team Champions, their second tag team titles of their main roster run, after holding the WWE Tag Team titles between July 2024 and February 2025. And once again, we're going to take a look at the deaths, what's happened on that front, and it looks like there hasn't been any more between now and last time we looked. And I think last but not least, we're going to go to TNA and just have a look at who the world champion is. So it's Mustafa Ali. The X Division champion is Kushida. Jordan Grace is once again the TNA Knockouts world champion, having picked it up when it was vacated by Steph Delander. Zaya Brookside has also held it, and if you want to have a look at more, feel free to pause, and we'll just flick through these here to see if there's anything interesting, and there isn't from what I can see. And we'll just quickly scroll through New Japan for anybody that wants to pause on anything in particular. But the current IWGP World Heavyweight Champion is Jon Moxley for a second time after beating Tetsuya Naito. And here's the rest of the champions for those that want to see. So let's see who the NXT champions are to finish things off. So the current NXT champion, as we saw, is Joe Hendry, after Ethan Page seemingly vacated it when he was called up to the main roster. The current NXT Heritage Cup winner is Shawn Spears. NXT North American champion is Tavion Heights. NXT Tag Team champions Tony D'Angelo and Channing Lorenzo. Lola Vice, the NXT Women's champion. NXT Women's North American champion is Adriana Rizzo, and there has been no Dusty Rhodes Classics for either division at this point. But if you enjoyed that video, make sure you drop a like down below, and as I say, if we can hit 100 likes within the next 24 hours, I'll drop the next one very, very soon. But until next time, peace.